Alright legends, what am I doing in this series? I'm going to do a two-part series on rebuilding the front and rear CV shafts on the R32 GTR. So I've got them on the bench, they're in pretty good condition. It looks like they've got semi-new boots on the front and the original OEs 30 years on the back, but there's no splits or anything like that, so internally they should be good. But I'm gonna strip them right down, cut all the boots off, get all messy, get all the grease out, wax and grease removed, the whole thing, clips, the lot. Like I said, a two-part series. I'll do the full clean and prep on the first one because it'll be a bit lengthy, and then the second one will be doing all the fun stuff, so brand new again, a little bit of paint and stuff like that. There should be some tips and some I guess skills on sort of how to sort of rebuild all these, separate everything, because it's not that easy. You just need to know what to sort of do there. So I've got the service manual, which is super awesome. I got two of these and another one here. Bada bing, bada boom. I've got to thank my missus for that. But should be pretty good. There should be some little tips and tricks in there. So I hope you like, you know what to do. Let's get to it. Okay, let's strip these down, get them all open, unwrap them all, see what we're dealing with, see if they're damaged in any way, and let's make them brand new again, man. Okay, so they're in pretty good condition, especially this one. This is in like brand new, beautiful condition. But we have new boots, we have everything to go on. Happy days. Looks a little older, but that's nice and new. That's nice and new. The connection on going into the gearbox is beautiful. So is the end of that. One little suspect guy here is, this is probably, I think this was the rear driver's side into the rear diff, and it was really hard to get this nut off. It was the only one. So gonna have to get that fixed. I want that flawless. New nuts to go on the end of all of these. I'll tidy all this little surface rust up. All of these will be brand new again. Boom. Okay, I actually forgot about this, haven't had to use it for a while. So this was a surprise from my beautiful wife a little while ago, maybe a year or two ago. Full service manual, you beauty. Surely it's gonna tell me how to disconnect and reconnect all of that gear. I'll show you the pages. It's gonna be happy days with this puppy. Thank you. Okay, first things first. The stopper ring, I've got to remove that puppy, and I couldn't find it at the start, but that's because it was buried all the way down here. So it's this guy. Got to pop him off with a screwdriver, see what happens. Okay, I'll see if I can do this with one hand. Oh shit. Okay. So what do we have on this beautiful table? We've got the rear shafts and the front shafts all stripped down to a certain point. I'll show you how you get to the next point in a second. I'll do a time lapse on it, but I want to explain a few things on things to consider when putting things back on and just keeping an eye on how things came off, which boots go on which, because it can be a little bit confusing. So if you can picture, these two shafts here are the rear shafts for the GTR and these are the front. We'll start with the rear first. So I guess, where do we start? All right, so on this end here, so that and this all joins onto this end. Now to get this off, it was just a circlip, and you're able to, with a mallet, just tap this off. So you don't need to use a press or anything like that. But what you'll see in here is it does look symmetrical, but one side is it has all the splines all the way to the edge, and then this side it doesn't. It's got a little lip in there, like a little recess point. That recess point goes in face first, and then this flush edge is right on the back there. So that's one thing to consider, because you could easily look past that. All right, and then that's the cage that obviously goes on, and all the bearings go in and stuff like that. So that's pretty easy. The kit comes with a new clip here and a new circlip, so that's no drama at all. To take this end here off, this is what I'm going to use the press for. I'm not actually going to press anything, but I am going to use a technique of you put the shaft in through the gap and you're pretty much dropping this down, and what it looks like in about here, it's got the same groove as that, but it doesn't use a circlip like this where you need to use a tool. It uses like a locator ring that sits in there. So by dropping this down and not obviously damaging anything, you're popping this off that little locator clip. So that's how you remove the shaft completely, so you can clean inside here and get it ready for reassembling and all that type of carry on. So that's how you take care of that. Another thing to consider is which boots do you put on which ends. Now on the rear, the boots are bigger than the ones that go on the front, so it's easy to separate the 4 for the rear and the 4 for the front. That's no drama. But then you've got which ones go on which end, because and obviously you've got two of the same and 2 of the same. They look exactly the same. Well, they look pretty much exactly the same, but what you'll notice is on this end of the shaft, the boot that comes off it and goes back on, it looks very similar to this boot here, same sort of size and everything. But what you'll notice is this portion here, this height is about 5 mil higher than this one here. So you have a thinner base on this one, which comes onto here, which goes on this end, and you have a thicker base on this one. Now, it would matter because you have a thicker lip on here probably to get over, so just keep that in mind. This end here and this end here uses a thicker boot base than the other end here, sweet, which goes onto this one. So that's pretty much that sorted. So just a little recap: get the orientation of this going back on, replace your circlips and everything. On this here, we have a ring locator that you have to knock this off to really service this completely. On the fronts, you've got these spider gears here, which have a circlip, but you're not able to tap this with a mallet because I think it's pressed on there. And if you use a press to take this off, which you probably would do, you've got to keep in mind that it does say to scribe this and mark this, and that's probably what that yellow mark there is for, to make sure you're putting it on the exact same way. Why you need to do that, I'm not 100% sure, but it says to do that. You don't have to do it with these because these can just tap on, so they're not too bad. But these spider gears, they call them, you have to keep that in mind. Now, both shafts, they're slightly different in length and everything for the front, but they've got a spider gear on both ends. This one here, my understanding, it's the same scenario with this one here, where you're trying to knock it over the top of a ring locator. So if that is the case, I am going to leave the spider gears on, knock this off to clean out all of this, and then I can put the potentially put the build it back that way, and then not have to worry about taking those off, but we'll see that. And which boots go on which, I'm 90% sure, but I'm 100% sure about this one, because this has like a inside, it's got like a couple of like 3 edges that you can definitely distinguish. On these ones they don't. But you'll see on when I reassemble which boots that I've used, because these 3 here look very similar to each other. What you will notice is the opening hole for these boots are quite small because they sit inside this, where this one is bigger because I think it sits on the outside here. So that's how I can tell the difference. These 2 part numbers are exactly the same. This one is slightly different because it has a bigger hole which goes over the bigger shaft diameter, and then this one's easy to determine, and it has a back cap as well in the kit. So it was a bit long-winded, but hopefully that gives some clarity, because you could come unstuck and you don't want to have to do this again. Okay, all sorted, and here's just my setup so you can visually sort of see it. I found it was better to put G-clamps in to hold all this in. I used aluminium so it would take the brunt and not damage anything. I did use rubber majority of the way, but it ended up getting damaged in the end. And then here's all the shafts disconnected, spider gear still on, so that can just stay on. There's no need to sort of remove that because it's quite easy to clean. Happy days. Now, what I have learned from this ordeal is what you have for this end here. This is the hardest one, right? So you've got this clip here that you can remove because you can get access to it when that's on. So the idea is to remove that. And here's the little clip. It's even hard to see that you're trying to get over. See, there it is there, see? And what I found is, if I haven't removed this, because when you remove this, you can actually tap the top of this and it moved down the shaft and come further over this way. What I found is once you've done that and you've got a bit of a run up to get over this, it works so much easier. So before I was leaving this connected because I was like, hey man, I can just disconnect that once I pull this off because I'm going that way, I'm not going this way. But what happens is it's a real tight fit when this is mounted, and this clip and this clip hold it very, it's like I said, a really tight fit. So when you're trying to tap over this, there's no run up. So as soon as I removed this, pulled this down, tapped this so it came back into the shaft just a little bit. And as soon as I dropped it down using the press method, it just popped over this clip really easily. So wish I'd done it for this one because I damaged the clip. And I was just like, I was a little bit worried. That was my first one as well. No damage to the shaft, so it's okay, but I'd rather not do that. So take the clip off. You've got a little bit more of a run up, which works much better. These ones here don't have a clip on the inside, but they pop over their circlip because the circlip is a lot thinner anyway, and it is a smaller sort of, I guess, gear going onto it. So it's no stress on that. Anyway, pretty happy with the result. All stripped down, ready for a rebuild. Boom. All cleaned up, degreased, ready to rock and roll, ready for a assembly. Happy days on that. Yeah boy, no damages. Holla! Okay, so that's this part one done of rebuilding these CV shafts for the R32 GTR. So they came up pretty good. Hopefully it helped with a bit of clarity on sort of how you strip them down, some of the techniques used. Yes, you can use different techniques instead of using the smackdown method on the press. You potentially could put it into a vise and use a puller with like a weighted end on the end. Yeah, there's different techniques to do all different types of things. So that came up pretty good. What else? Everything's clean, ready to rock and roll. So the part two on the next video is going to be just assembling everything, putting all the grease in, making them look beautiful. Might give the center of the shafts a bit of a ceramic paint just so they look, you know, brand spanking new. But hopefully you like, subscribe, do all that type of stuff. Peace. See you on the next.